Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
A major media source is reporting that Go Proud, the homosexual activist organization, will not be invited back to CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, next year. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law. And joining me in studio today, in for Matt Staver, is Sean Akers, Dean of Liberty's Helms School of Government and Policy Analyst with Liberty Counsel. Well, Sean, this is good news. Liberty Counsel was at the forefront in Liberty University last year in 2009 in shedding light on this situation involving Go Proud, a homosexual activist organization that defends and supports so-called same-sex marriage, was pushing for the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, and had basically signed off on almost all of the radical leftist positions of the homosexual activist lobby. They call themselves Go Proud and say for GOP, and say that they're a Republican conservative organization of homosexual conservatives. Well, we have argued that that is an oxymoron to say that one can both support homosexual activism or the homosexual lifestyle and call oneself a conservative. Well, now WorldNet Daily, our friends over at WorldNet Daily, are reporting that they, from their sources, they have been told that Go Proud, which caused so much division at CPAC this year, resulting in Liberty Counsel, Liberty University, the Family Research Council, Heritage Foundation, dozens of well-respected, credible conservative organizations, resulted in them pulling out of the conference. CPAC now is, at least some sources are saying that Go Proud will not be back next year. So it looks like CPAC is doing the right thing, and maybe we can all come back together and get about the business of being conservative again.
You know, very interesting development, Matt, on a variety of levels. On this particular event, it's interesting that it appears that the event, if our friends at WorldNet Daily are right, it appears that the event has listened to its constituents and has taken a proper action. But I'll tell you what interests me even more than that is viewing this as a bellwether for these conservative candidates that just got elected in large numbers in the last election and those that will be running in the next election. This really stands to be a microcosm of a referendum that says we are conservative, and we're demanding that we actually be conservative, not just say conservative things and then take a different path. If candidates were to face the same referendum that CPAC did, the warning would be loud and clear. You're not going to get elected on a conservative platform and then rule from a liberal one and remain in office. We're going to enforce this time. We're actually going to require that people actually be conservative.
Well, and we have seen a trend in recent years of the conservative movement, if you will, which really the base of the conservative movement are evangelical Christians who represent biblical values. I don't say so much conservative as biblical, but the conservative movement has really been infiltrated by what I call socio-liberal libertarians. These are people that are liberal on social issues like life, like abortion, like protecting the institution of marriage and so forth, but maybe actually share some principles with true conservatives, on fiscal issues, on national defense issues, and so forth. Well, David Keene, for instance, who is now the former head of the chairman of the American Conservative Union and was really in charge of getting things working at CPAC, he is now left. He was really invited and embraced quite a number of those socio-liberal libertarians. Hopefully this is a sign that that the conservative movement will be, removing from these higher positions of power and within the conservative movement, these socio-liberal libertarians say, hey, you guys are welcome to be with us and share on the principles where we do agree, but if we're going to have a conservative political action conference, any of you who are working directly counter to true conservative principles, we really don't want to have anything to do with you. So now it looks like the American Conservative Union, CPAC, with a new chairman now, Al Cardenas, who has essentially signaled that we're going to get back to true conservative principles. This bodes well for the conservative movement and for removing these divisions that have caused so much strife within the conservative movement, at least in the last couple of years.
Well, it does, Matt. Now, you've written an article that addressed this, I thought, very adeptly, that brought back that old analogy of the three-legged stool and showed that there are two views of this, Matt. One is the kind that CPAC had gravitated to in the past, and it was that collections of socially conservative people, fiscally conservative people, and defense-minded people get together to form the three legs, but each could be ambivalent to the concerns of the other. Mm-hmm. While the analogy that you used is know that the stool is the conservative, and unless you have all three legs in the same locus, unless you are socially conservative, fiscally conservative, and defense conservative, you're not a conservative. Right. And it's good to see that at least these indications are that CPAC and that the religious conservatives as a whole are moving back in that direction, that, wait a minute, no, we may have some common interest with different groups, but the conservatives themselves have to have all three of these things.
Well, and I wish I could take credit for that three-legged stool analogy, but that, of course, was Ronald Reagan with a great analogy for what makes up true conservatism. And it is those three legs of the three-legged stool. It is national defense-minded people. It is fiscally responsible and conservative people. It is social conservatives, the evangelical movement, and so forth, coming together, all three of those legs coming together to represent what I also call the complete conservative, and as opposed to the socio-liberal libertarian, for instance, which groups like Go Proud and other more socially liberal organizations represent. Well, now Al Cardenas, again, the new chairman of the ACU, has told and confirmed, according to WorldNet Daily with sources, that he hopes to bring Heritage Foundation, Liberty Council, Liberty University, Concerned Women for America, the Media Research Center, and on the list goes. He wants to bring them, quote, back into the fold. And, but Sean, I have always viewed, and I have always said that ever since this Go Proud nonsense came about and caused this big kerfuffle, I have said essentially that this is just a homosexual activist organization. They have said we are a gay rights organization. That is their primary focus. There's nothing conservative about that. I have often said that they really, I think, viewed themselves as a divide and conquer kind of organization to get in and cause this kind of disruption within the true conservative movement. They did exactly that. I think finally people are waking up to the reality that that was the purpose they were trying to serve, was trying essentially to infiltrate the conservative movement and inject these liberal homosexual activist demands into the conservative movement and gain further steam to divide and conquer, if you will. They didn't get away with it. They may have gotten away with it for the short term. For the long term, I think that this can actually strengthen the conservative movement.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think it strengthens it, especially in the place of those who are considering running for office as a conservative. Because I'll tell you what normally happens, Matt, is that somebody with true conservative values steps up to the plate, decides to run for office, and then is pressured either by campaign managers or later by advisors when in office to immediately to use that wedge of political correctness to push toward the center. And what this says is, like I said, it sends a referendum that says, you know what, you're perfectly free to actually be conservative, and there's support for you out there, a lot of it.
Well, if a candidate is running for office and decides that somehow they think it's going to be politically expedient to embrace the demands of the homosexual activist lobby, they're really kidding themselves. Any candidate who wishes to represent conservative principles not only cannot defend or fight for the homosexual activist agenda, in order to, I think, be viewed as a true conservative, they have to stand against it and do so firmly and with without equivocation. And there are some candidates out there who like to wear the conservative mantle and hope to, receive conservative votes, but they kind of want to have their cake and eat it too. And so I think this is a shot over the bow of those conservatives. Look, let's get back to true Reagan conservatism. That's what the Tea Party movement's about. That's what the true conservative movement is about. And we need to get back to that pure Reagan conservatism that has been a hallmark of the conservative movement for so many years. Well, folks, to learn more about what we're doing at Liberty Counsel, go to lc.org and or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776. Become part of our ministry today.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.